How do you fix guest OS boot issues in virtual machines? Imagine trying to start your computer and nothing happens. Now picture doing that inside a virtual machine. Sometimes the guest operating system just won't boot. Let's look at how to fix that. First, check if the virtual machine is powered on. If it is not, try starting it again. If it fails to start, look at the virtual machine's log files. These logs can tell you if there are errors like insufficient memory or configuration problems. If the VM powers on but the guest OS does not load, the issue is likely within the guest OS or its virtual hardware setup. For Windows guest operating systems, a common fix is to attach the virtual disk to a repair virtual machine. Use tools like the disk partitioning utility to check if the system partition is marked as active. If it is not, set it as active. This step is important for virtual machines that use BIOS firmware, known as Generation 1 virtual machines. For virtual machines with UEFI firmware, which are called Generation 2, you might need to adjust Secure Boot or Trusted Platform Module settings. Linux guest operating systems can have boot issues related to Secure Boot or firmware mismatches. If you see Secure Boot warnings, try switching the firmware to a different mode or disable Secure Boot in the virtual machine settings. Sometimes, updating the virtual machine's firmware or switching to a different firmware type can resolve boot problems. When setting up a virtual machine, make sure the firmware type matches what the guest operating system expects. For example, Windows 10 usually installs with UEFI firmware. If your virtual machine is configured for BIOS, the OS might not boot. Changing the firmware setting in the virtual machine's configuration can fix this. If the guest OS crashes and keeps rebooting, you can attach an installation or recovery ISO file to the virtual machine. Booting from this media allows you to run repair tools or recovery options, similar to using a recovery disk on a physical computer. You can repair the bootloader, fix corrupted system files, or restore the system to a working state. Different operating systems handle boot processes differently. Windows relies on the boot configuration data store, which can become corrupted and requiring manual repair. Linux uses the grub bootloader, and fixing boot issues might involve trooting into the system or using live media. macOS virtual machines have specific hardware and firmware needs, so troubleshooting may involve adjusting virtual hardware settings. Virtualization platforms like VMware, Hyper, and kernel-based virtual machine offer tools to manage and repair virtual machines. These tools can help you reset or repair boot configurations, but the specific steps depend on the guest OS. Understanding these differences helps you troubleshoot more effectively. To sum up, start by identifying whether the problem is with the virtual hardware or the guest operating system. Use logs and error messages to narrow down the cause. For Windows, check the partition's active status and the boot configuration data. For Linux, verify firmware and secure boot settings. Adjust the virtual machine's configuration to match the OS's expectations. If needed, use recovery media to access repair tools. Remember, each operating system has its own way of handling boot issues, so knowing those methods makes fixing problems much easier. By following these steps and understanding how virtual machines and guest operating systems work together, you can fix most boot issues and get your virtual environment running smoothly again.